Ricky and Cesar, congratulations on winning season 36 of The Amazing Race. What an incredible moment that must have been when you hit that mat, you saw Phil, you won your seventh leg, the most important one when it mattered most. Talk about the feelings that came over you and being told you won $1 million.
Man, it was like
Running, seeing the cast there,
so incredible.
it was so cool.
It's like that moment you when you watch the seasons, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like you see the like running through the cast, and then you like get to like live it. It really was surreal. Like the giant mat and like Phil standing there, you're like looking at him, you're like, and you're like waiting in anticipation for him to say it to make it a reality. It really was just
Unbelievable. As a
unbelievable.
super fan, just having the chance of being in the race, like that was the first thing, like getting like going through the casting process, then like get being told yes, and then getting ready, all the preparations, like
Yeah.
training, like even like
Right.
getting a sign or color. That for me was really special. Like we got mint colors, so now we're like, oh
Yes.
my God, it's
It's like it started, the reality started, and then it just everything just
it keeps developing. We get there,
yeah.
we
And
get
then
we
to
get our
get
handkerchief, then we get our fanny pack. Like
clearly the
it,
super fan, all the little
it is just
things
like the
like,
little things, but keep making it special. So now you're there and you're start on the start line, and you're like looking at all of these challenging themes, and then the whole thing. I mean, and then we did so good, and ending it, arriving at the mat was just
it was a
wow, like
dream. It
dreamlike,
was a dream.
dreamlike.
Yeah, like driving there was that last drive. I was like so nervous. And I just was like, oh my God, like, I'm driving and he laughed at me. He was like, did you just fix your hair? I was like, yeah, absolutely, I did. Like, we're about to run to the mat. Like, it just, yeah,
Awesome.
it was awesome. And then just like the energy from the rest of the cast, like they are just so incredible.
We cried so much,
Oh my God, so many
so
tears.
much
They were
in there.
crying, we were crying.
Well, it seemed like there was nothing you guys couldn't do. And it was, I think, frustrating the other teams a little bit, if we're honest. But I think we found the weak spot in windsurfing. So that task almost derailed it right in the second to last leg.
Yeah.
How terrified were you, Ricky, when Vinny shows up? He's a surfer, and you're like on attempt 20 or 21. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was a really stressful, kind of scary moment. I really knew that like I had to pull it out and I wanted to keep pushing through. There was like one moment I got really frustrated with myself and then I was like, like just do it, keep getting back up and I had to just keep keep going. And I was battling a current, and the longer you stay out there, the more you get exhausted. So the current took me down. I had to get out of the water. I had to
With
carry
that,
the board down. I had to get back out in the water. There's some
I might need to
factors that were
stop you
happening.
for a second because I want to give him credit. When we jump off the boat, he was the first ones to make it to the clue. And then like he like
Yeah.
outswam Rod and Leticia, and like he got there first. So just
Yeah.
just mentioning because he mentioned exhaustion. Like he had done that first.
Yeah.
And then we have run a little bit. And then he was doing
Yeah.
this. So like just
Yeah.
to
It
put it
was
in
a
perspective,
yeah.
like how much it was.
It was
Just
a workout. Like, you know, it was a lot. It was a very physical thing to like climb up onto the board, to get up, to kind of hold yourself in that position. And uh, I was feeling very stressed. Leticia knocked it out of the park. Juan got it really quickly. Like now Vinny's there, and I just said to myself, I was like, you need to get this. Like, this is the moment because if Vinny does that, I know he's athletic. I know he, can climb a tree
that was the
and
other fun thing, like hearing Beanie and Amber saying like the dragon can
oh
be
yeah,
slayed.
of course we don't hear that till we watch, the dragon be slayed, which is hilarious. I just knew like this was it. This was the moment. Like whatever, pray to the ocean gods, like help me out here. Uh, and I got it. And I think just something that I took out of it was like whatever happens, just push through. And like, yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, it's going to be hard, but you can always with perseverance accomplish whatever you need to accomplish, and that's kind of like what I took out of it. um yeah.
Was that one of the interesting things watching the show back is you get to see the other team's race. You don't get to see that What was the most interesting thing about, seeing the dynamics on the other teams that you weren't aware of?
The
Yeah.
one-liners for me were the one-liners.
one-liners.
Chalisa, love
Oh my
Chalisa.
gosh.
So funny.
Everybody's hilarious. Like you don't get to see anything. You are in your zone. You're just running. Sometimes you get to interact with people at a roadblock or whatever, but you
Not
don't
that
see
much.
what's going
So
on
we
with
have-
other people.
We
So
have build a
we got-
relationship
yeah,
with them.
afterwards, right? But you don't get to see what they experience. So getting to watch everything back was just so much fun. And like everybody was hilarious. Like I think this cast was so like one of the most entertaining casts.
Every single one. We can bring Rohan and Maya from the beginning. Like, it's not, I feel like in other seasons would be like, who were that? Like, if it's like early boots, but like right now I can mention Rohan and Maya to anything. And like,
It's like
it will be like
like yeah,
relevant.
Anthony and Bailey, like
The relationship between
everybody
Mary and
is-
Chris, like, and we can go down the line and like everyone had something that made them so memorable that I feel like this season,
yeah,
it was a really strong cast and really
And so
competitive
fun,
as
yeah,
well, and
very
really fun.
competitive.
So seeing everyone's journey, I think, for me at least,
yeah, it was really fun. It made watching the show so much more enjoyable. Like, yeah, we got to relive what we experienced, but then it was like, oh wait, that happened? Like we had no clue like this was happening like the entire time. Or they struggle with this, oh, they killed that, like they knocked that out of the park. There was just so many moments that were like unseen, and it was so like such a pleasure to witness it.
Well, and CBS has talked about this, so this is not like a spoiler or anything, but this season was filmed before the previous because it had to be re-edited once they went to 90 minutes and all of that. So you had to wait extra long to sort of come out with this secret that you had won the Amazing Race. How difficult was that to hold on to that knowledge?
So we didn't tell absolutely anyone. No one knew. Like
No.
we finished in Philly and we went to pick up our dog to Ricky's sister's
That
family.
same day.
So we're
we
exhausted.
left.
We're like there, and
Some people like fly back home. They have a couple of days to like decompress. We literally that day like took an Uber from the pit stop to my sister's to pick up my dog and like said nothing
nothing
till last night. So like
keeping it a
keeping it
secret
under
was-
wraps. My sisters joke, they were like, I don't know whether to never trust you again or to trust you with my like every secret ever told. Like you had like we wanted them to experience what we experienced for the first time and like find the joy and the excitement of like experiencing it all. And so that's why we kept it, and we like it was really difficult not to say anything, but we knew that like having their reaction and like finding that joy and excitement was going to be worth it. So that's why we kind of
and like it's funny enough, like we didn't say anything to the point that like, but I could have had my parents here if I have said something, right? Like come to join us to the finale. Like it just didn't work out because we kept it a secret. Like even last week I was like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen. And they were like, well, like, but we need to organize the trip. We need to like, I'm like, well, I don't, you can take the risk, but like we might not be on the last episode.
We were very committed to not saying it.
Yeah. So like our families were extremely supportive and like they understood as well that we didn't want to say, so there was no pressure there. So it just felt really relaxed. But on top of that, I feel like that's what got our cast closer together because they were the ones that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Everything.
It was a great support group through.
Yeah.
It was a long time to wait. And we all just like, we built a really great community and family within our cast because we had to wait. And so it was kind of like a blessing and a curse in a way, because we had so much time to kind of like relive our experiences and build these relationships that we probably would have been shorter lived if it had aired quicker.
Another thing that I took out of like having to wait and seeing the other season first, and I was talking to Greg and John yesterday, was like seeing their season and seeing how people reacted online and like knowing them, like for me was easier to process like everything that people says online because it's a reality now, right? And like you're gonna get some good comments, some bad comments, but like being able to see their season, match it with what people were saying, and like just seeing that some people just don't like things because they don't like it.
Yeah.
But now it get me that like third person perspective on like seeing our season and being able to process everything that was written online about.
Well, you're gonna get hate.
Oh, that
You're
is
gonna
right.
get hate just for winning that much. I mean, the top dog always is gonna get some like, okay, I'm sick of them winning all the time. What was it like then when you get to the final destination and it's Philadelphia and you're like, oh my God, I was raised in Philadelphia. What what's that moment? That had to be surreal.
So Phil told us on the airport.
So on the airport when we were leaving DR, like there's like a clip in the show where we're all walking and feels like, oh, we're going to the city of brotherly love. That's when they told us. So like we had no clue until that moment. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my God.
But as a super fan now, I know that a lot of the times when a team is racing on their hometown, there's a high chance that they don't win. Like, because it's a curse maybe on the race.
Yeah.
It's rarely that a team wins on their hometown. So I was like, are we cursed?
Yeah,
like, is it happening?
We were super cautious. Like, even though I knew the city fairly well.
We stopped and asked directions.
We still stopped for directions. The only place we didn't was from the Rocky Steps to the stadium. Everywhere else, we got directions.
Yeah.
Because we weren't taking chances. Like, I knew where the entrance to the 95 was, but it was like, I'm like 99.9% sure, but it was like, let's just stop. We're not going to take a chance. We're not risking anything. Like, we did it through the entire race. We made sure we had direction. Some of the time it kind of looked like we just like appeared at places. Like, no, we always stopped for directions. We always verified. And that was something that was our strength. Like he was the navigator.
We had set it up as a plan even before the race.
Yes.
Well, Rod and Leticia were right on you the whole time. But like poor Rod, he just couldn't remember those damn words. That was that was.
Yeah, it was
but you
really
can see how competitive he is because getting frustrated and getting in his head.
It was hard, and you know when you have a like a blockage like that, you have to be able to like move past it. And something that I kind of wish they would have showed was like the way I helped coach you.
Oh, Ricky was like, use your hands, like try to remember.
He had a blockage, like he actually, like, I had earplugs for the plane, and he was getting so distracted with me and like the street and everything. He had to put them in just to kind of like block everything out. And so once I memorized what I had to memorize, I started coaching him, and it kind of showed. I was like, no, you need to speak it out. You need, like, don't say it in your head, get it in your body, like act it out, put a thumb up, like move your body, like get it in the air.
That was extremely helpful,
and it helped him.
It was key for us to get out of there.
So like you have to be able to like kind of support and coach in like the weaknesses of your partner, not just like do it again. It's like, no, you have to kind of give them a different way. And something like we prepped was like before the race was choreography. Like we trained on like, how can I help you learn choreography?
Because the way that Ricky learned, like it might have been like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
But he needed like directions.
I'm like, no, you need to learn with right hand with like left foot, like things like that. So learning how to teach was part of our learning process.
Well, I gotta get out of here. I'm out of time, but in 20 seconds, I want you to tell me what's on that card behind you. Who signed it? What's that clue?
Let me get it. It's Phil's.
Oh,
You're
I love that.
#1.
All right. Well, congratulations. It was so much fun seeing you guys. Maybe an all-star season someday.
Yeah, we're hoping an all winners. Why not?
And then you get to go through the airports, hopefully, and go through that.
Yep, and do the whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, Ricky.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.